Welcome to the Social Pulse Final Four. Thank you for joining us today. I'm JD Miller, Vice President here at Nuvi. You may also know us as Brickfish, an end-to-end social media marketing and management solution.
Hi, and I'm Charles Warsh, Solutions Consultant. I'll be guiding you through the demo today.
For those of you who stayed up last night, exciting overtime finish in the championship game of the Final Four. Virginia need a little luck to advance, but going from being ousted last year as a top seed to a 16 to winning it this year is impressive. So here at Nuvi, we go beyond the X's and O's and dive into conversations around the game. Advertisers, influencers, celebrities, sentiment around brands, which companies won or lost, not to mention the actual game. But before we jump into that, let's take a quick minute to talk a little bit about who we are and what we do. So here at Nuvi and Brickfish, we help you know your audience with real, intuitive, real-time social listening. You know, some of the largest companies in the country use us, as well as some of those smaller ones, to get a better insight into their brand. So how listening definitely helps brands. We help with crisis management, giving you real-time alerts on issues. And that's a key differentiator for Nuvi is real-time analytics. Brand awareness, what's working for your brand, what isn't, and also who are those key influencers so you can discover those top brand advocates for you. Some of the product features on the Nuvi end, real-time monitoring, customizable reports, being able to segment out in industry sentiment industry packs as well, all the way down to historical archive data. We also have brand management, and that's all the way from planning and workflow and collaboration through publishing, monitoring, and analytics to give you the full brand experience to help you own your brand, give you top engagement, and also social management, the workflow solutions to help build your brand. As far as product features for that, we have a calendar view that can really help you plan events and schedule initiatives in a collaborative atmosphere across platforms, across locations, and give you internal and external review and approval of content before it goes out, and gives you the cross-platform distribution at scale. So that's just a really quick overview of who we are, but we want to dive into insights that we got in the Final Four. And for that, Charlie's going to kind of give you an overview of really our platform and what we set up around the NCAA tournament.
Fantastic. Thanks, JD. So what we did is we set up a monitor to track all conversations around the NCAA championship game yesterday and last night, and to see what it is people were talking about. And what we also did is we set up different filters for all the major advertisers for the NCAA championship to see which advertisers' marketing plans were getting traction on social media and across the internet. So looking into this dashboard, and right now we're looking at just the overall NCAA championship game, we see that over the last 24 hours, including the excitement starting yesterday morning all the way to the afterglow this morning, we had about 240,000 mentions across the internet from close to 25,000 different unique authors, sharing about 19% positive and 13% negative, the rest neutral. So going through all the great data visualizations that are available on our platform, at the top right here, we have our mentions module, where we could see mentions over time. So you might be interested to see where a spike in mentions were, and naturally here we have a spike coinciding with the high point of the game, basically. So that's a pretty straightforward example here, but in your own use case, you might be interested to see a spike. Is that because something interesting is happening with your brand or your products? It was covered in the media, a major influencer made it go viral, or was that just the time of day? You could always look in and analyze any spike and bring up the inspector and see exactly what it was that people were talking about, right? So we can see all the posts. We also have different ways to visualize it. We have the world deck, so you could go in and you could see where in the world people are talking about it. In the case of this NCAA tournament, mostly the United States, but we had some traction in Asia and Europe. And we also have the bubble stream view, which shows you who are the major accounts that are talking about it. Each bubble represents one post. The larger the bubble, the larger the account, the bigger the influencer, and the color is the sentiment. So when you see a big red bubble or a big green bubble, that indicates that somebody major has said something positive or negative, and you can, just like everywhere else on the platform, you could click in. We see Jimmy Fallon, as an example, said something positive right here. And, you click on another bubble and Bleacher Report said something, positive or negative there, right? So that's the bubble stream view. Moving along, we have our reach and spread. You're familiar with reach and spread from all your sorts of social media analytics. Reach is how many posts were captured in our search original posts, and spread is how many shares and retweets of those posts were captured. So we see, as expected, the NCAA tournament is a pretty viral topic. We have a viral ratio of almost 2-to-1. Lots of people resharing messages about the tournament. Moving on, we have our sentiment chart. So it shows you sentiment over time. You might see spikes in positive or negative sentiment. In this case, they pretty much coincide. You know, it looks like the Virginia fans had a spike in positive sentiment.
I think that might have been right around overtime.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Texas Tech with the negative sentiment. So that's probably what we're seeing there. All right. Moving on to influencers. This is one of our most important and valuable modules for a lot of our clients. This helps you identify the highest profile accounts that are talking about your topic, your product, your brands. And we have many different ways to break it down. So you could really find those micro influencers or major influencers, people who are talking about your brand the most often, for example, in the most active section, or people who are talking about your brand that are themselves getting the most traction, such as in this most mentioned section.
You know, looking at Patrick Mahomes, for example, Patrick Mahomes wasn't there on behalf of any brand. The Chiefs quarterback was there because he's, you know, Texas Tech guy, and he was wearing a T-shirt, Under Armour T-shirt, promoting Texas Tech. Well, he's sponsored by Adidas, so he had tape over the Under Armour that said Adidas, which really turned viral for him and helped Adidas because the ad value Adidas got over that exposure was $250,000 of ad value for doing nothing. So that turned viral. So brands are able to see not only what's happening around commercials that they're doing, but they're also able to see, engage when things are viral, positively or negatively, around their brand. They can see that in our system, which gives extra value as you're looking to pivot quickly.
Yeah, so that's the example of the type of insight you can get from the influencer section. You find that Patrick Mahomes had 5,300 mentions in tweets that were and other messages that were about the championship game. So what is that about? We look a little into it and find that that's going to really move the needle for some advertisers. Moving on to the trend section, this identifies things like top keywords, top phrases, top hashtags. So if you're looking for, you know, what search marketing phrases are going to be the most effective for my company, or what hashtag should I be using in my own company's social media posts, you're able to identify which posts, which hashtags are going to get you the most traction. We have all these different categories: top positive terms, top negative terms, top networks to see where your data is coming from, which social networks your topics are popular on, etc. And then finally, we have demographics where we can reveal gender breakdown. We can reveal top locations. We can reveal top languages. In this case, we're seeing mostly in the United States, but also a little traction in Canada, United Kingdom, and Mexico as well.
So you had a lot of advertisers around the NCAA tournament. We're able to look at those key advertisers, and there were really 6 that stood out as we looked at it. You know, Coca-Cola is top. You know, Wendy's is another one. Capital One, AT&T, the bad announcer, got a lot of publicity. And really looking through all of these, we're able to lay them over each other. So how do they compare against each other during the game? And you can see it is a bit all over the place. But for you in your brand, you can layer over the conversations being had around your company versus your competitors, or your company versus key people in the industry. So you can really see how campaigns are matching up for you. You're really able to see, is it this campaign going over well, or is it not going over well? If it's not going over well, I need to change quickly and do some things to make sure it does.
Yep. And so, for example, here, when we took a look into this, we noticed that Coca-Cola started going viral at 2 or 3 p.m., way before the game started, whereas everyone else didn't start going viral until their commercials started showing during the game. So just like everywhere else on the platform, you can inspect the detail here by dragging and releasing and pulling up the inspector. And what we found was the Jonas Brothers, who Coca-Cola had hired to play during the NCAA championship, had sent out a tweet on their own channel at around 2 or 3 p.m. and gotten huge traction, all their friends retweeting, resharing the message, and that caused them to go viral way before the game even started. So with the right partners for your demographic, you can really move the needle and help identify those partners with our platform.
And those trending influencers like Jimmy Fallon, Nick and Joe Jonas, Carmelo Anthony. So brands are looking and saying, okay, we spent X number of dollars to bring this person in. What did it do for us? Now, one thing you're not seeing here is Katy Perry. Now, a lot of money was spent to bring Katy Perry in to do the pregame, and there just wasn't a lot of chatter around her performance heading into it. But what the big chatter was, again, was the Jonas Brothers.
Yeah. Moving down, again, we have the reach and spread, so you can see which advertisers went the most viral, who's getting the most earned media from their audience, people resharing their message. We see here that Wendy's did fantastic. They have a viral ratio of over 8-to-1, almost 9-to-1. So Wendy's got great value from their money, their earned audience spreading their message. And we'll see a little later if we could figure out why. In the sentiment section, we see some charts and graphs, people reacting to their advertisements as they aired. All right. Moving along to our influencers section, again, we have the same familiar chart that helps you identify influencers by all sorts of different categories. And here in the Wendy's section, this is where we can really identify how they were able to get such a good viral spread. It turns out that the official NCAA pregame show was being sponsored by Wendy's. And so the official March Madness Twitter channel tweeted that out, and they got tens of thousands of retweets and sent them viral right at the top of the game before the game started, and really helped catapult their viral ratio.
And it's really great in here because as you're layering these different brands, and for you guys, it could be anything within your sector or key competitors in a region or a city, you're able to see who is your brand advocate, who can I reach out to and start a conversation around my brand. So it's more than just a post, right? It is more than just one mention. You can have those conversations, and you can do that all straight from our platform to have those conversations to extend it and get it in front of as many people as humanly possible.
Yep. So if you're AT&T, for example, you'll see that Ben White was the second most mentioned around your brand, and you know him as a CNBC contributor. That's interesting. What was he saying about AT&T? We could click in, get some top-level statistics about his account, and maybe make a decision based on what he's saying to possibly engage him as a potential collaborator, influencer, whatever it is.
And Carrie Keegan's another one. Not necessarily a household name, but she's got 148,000 followers. And she was one of the big influencers along with Jimmy Fallon and the Jonas Brothers. So this could be an individual that I could reach out to and have a big reach for an audience I'm going after.
Absolutely. Moving on to the trends section, again, we're going to find those top keywords, those top hashtags, those top websites, top data sources. See maybe one brand is trending more on Reddit and another more on Twitter, whatever it is. Find the hashtags you need. Find the hashtags your competitors are using so you can start stealing in on their traffic, people searching around those hashtags. And then finally, we have the demographic section again. For example, we have top locations. We see that Coca-Cola had some traction in Mexico and South America. Most of the other brands pretty much exclusively in America that they got good traction. And then another interesting insight is in this gender demographic section. So we see, as you would expect in the NCAA tournament, male heavy, male majority for most of the advertisers. But if you look at Coca-Cola with their big push with the Jonas Brothers, they had over 3 times as many females talking about Coca-Cola in the NCAA tournament as they had males. So if you pick the right partners, you can reach whatever demographic you're searching for.
So really using our platform, you can dig into any analytics that's important to your brand, whether it's influencers, whether it's hashtags, whether it's trends, whether you want to jump in and see who is talking about your brand in a positive or negative way, and you can gain better insight in real time. And that's a key differentiator for us, is it's all in real time, down to the second, so we're able to see all this. So some key things to point out from the NCAA Final Four that could be impactful for your brand is commercial dollars do pay, but viral is just as valuable. When you look at Adidas with Patrick Mahomes, Adidas didn't spend any money on this, but they got a big lift for that. Without having key listening, they'd have no idea why they have this lift. Influencers, they're your biggest asset. From Carrie Keegan talking about AT&T to Patrick Mahomes, to the Jonas Brothers, to Fallon. Who's your big brand advocates that you could reach out to or have a conversation online that you can extend beyond just one post, having a conversation that gets in front of more eyeballs? And listening doesn't just work for the Wendy's and the AT&Ts of the world. You can monitor your brand's individual campaign performance in a particular region or city to see how it's catching on, and also to determine where your brand could use a boost. And also, you can see when things are going poorly and pivot quickly because all the data is in real time. So we thank you for joining us today. We love to do a custom demo for you on your company and show you how Nuvve can help you own the conversation around your brand. We'll send you a follow-up email with a report around these monitors where you can click demo and we can get you in to see how it can work for you. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks a lot.